before dawn, milk cows, work all day in the fields, milk cows again, eat supper, then go to town and stay past midnight at a meeting of the school board.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Agriculture is people.
Definitely.
What do the other 99% do? What options do they have available to them because they don't have to worry about where their food comes from?
Low prices squeezed essentially every farmer in America, but you farmers did what you always do. You kept on keeping on and you persevered.
Hello and welcome to the Four Corner Ag Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Wirtz, and today we're changing it up a little bit. We've got Tyson Schneider here instead of Maverick Lighty. He's up working at the grain elevator up north of where we usually record down here in McClave. So Maverick wasn't able to be here, but that's okay. We've got Tyson in here as well. He's been on a couple past episodes, so I don't have any worry about him. He's just a little bit loony compared to me, but who knows? People say I'm a little bit crazy too. We've got a special episode coming up for you guys. I think that you guys are really going to enjoy it. This is probably the most well-known guest that we've had when it comes to the younger generation, as whoever, if you're members that are listening or whoever it may be. But you maybe know him by the name of Daryl, but his real name is Gatlin Didier. He's off of TikTok is probably where most of you know him. He's also got Instagram and Facebook and all that other jazz. We'll plug that stuff later, but I'm pretty excited. This is going to be a fun episode. Gatlin, how are you today?
I'm doing good, fellas. Thank you all for having me here on the podcast, and I'm looking forward to it too. I'm excited. Pre-conversations got me all excited. I'm a little giddy for this too.
That's the way to be. I tell you what. Tyson, how are you feeling about this today?
I'm feeling great, Caleb. Honestly, I think this is going to be the one episode that all of our members, no matter their background or where they come from pretty much, are going to be able to recognize as kind of their episode. So I'm really excited for it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that it's a good gateway for members who maybe don't always have the agricultural background, production ag background, I should say, rather than maybe an urban background or whatever it may be. Yeah, I think it's going to be cool. So we'll just kind of jump right in. Gatlin, I guess I'm just curious. I want to hear all about kind of your background and where you come from.
Yeah, I mean, typical probably for like a lot of FFA members, small town kid from western Oklahoma, born and raised right outside a town called Thomas, Oklahoma. Population of 1,200 people, small town, 3-star chapter always though in FFA. We're always a very good FFA chapter. But you grew up out there. My family has been in this area. It's called Fay, is another little small town outside of Thomas, about 40 people. But my family's been there since the early 1900s, about 120 years. We've had our homestead where we now run our current operation, Didier Ranch. Yeah, we've been there for like I said, 120 years. I grew up out here. It's basically the way I always tell people, like, where is Thomas? I said, okay, Oklahoma City and Amarillo. It's smack dab in the middle, and it just goes a little bit north of I-40, and there it is. So if you blink, you definitely would miss it. So born and raised there, and then just my background in agriculture. Grew up around farming, around ranching. My grandpa did wheat, alfalfa. My dad and them kind of transitioned out of farming. It went to strictly cattle ranching here the past 10 years. And then we raised commercial Angus cows. And then my uncle and my dad have another thing they run together, mainly my uncle, but it's like a feedlot operation attached with our just cattle we raise. And, just grew up in this background, love the country lifestyle. And then from there, I went to college after high school to the University of Oklahoma, got a degree in broadcast journalism. Really thought I wanted to be in radio but I also caught the acting bug when I was there. Did some regional commercials, was in a movie. that came through the state of Oklahoma called Gosnell. I married Dean Cain's daughter in the movie. It was like I got a huge acting bug from there. So my dad, being the open-minded rancher he's always been, was like, "Hey man, you should, if you really like this stuff, you should go after it. You're having some success here in the state. Why don't you go try it out on the big stage?" So since 2016, I'd been in California. Auditioning, acting classes, doing the whole cliche acting thing, being a bartender, which I'd never done in my whole life. Like, I'm used to building fence, not making beverages for people. So,
Right.
Did that for a long time. And then COVID hit, and everyone would always tell me, like, we love your wholesomeness. You definitely can tell you're like a all-American Midwest Southern kid, because Oklahoma, we really don't know what we are. Like, people in the South don't take us. People in the Midwest don't take us. So we just like, we're on our own thing.
There you go.
But long story there is COVID hit, and there was no auditions going on, nothing going on. So I saw an opportunity. I mean, restaurants were closed, in California especially, everything shut down. So I would start coming back home to help my dad and my uncle on the ranch. And then from there, I saw opportunities to make content highlighting this life. And then TikTok, I did my very first TikTok on March 31st last year. And from there, it just took off. It was a slow game there for a long time. And then I introduced the character Daryl Bibbins, basically at the end of November around Thanksgiving. And Daryl just took off from there. So Daryl, just a good old farm boy. There's a big difference. I tell people, there's people like, oh, country boys. I'm like, oh, there's a big difference between farm boys and country boys. I grew up more in the farming, ranching lifestyle. So I wanted to show people, there's a character. Yeah, I wanted to highlight a character that highlights that life. So I created Daryl, and then it just took off, with the farm stuff with Daryl and stuff from there. So yeah, kind of my background to where we are today. That was it in a gist. And, it's just exciting for me to be able to promote this life and do what I love to do, which is, help out my family's farm, family's ranch, while also making content that highlights this life, and be able to, make a living out of it too. Doing with the skills and stuff I've acquired over the last 6-7 years. So for me, I just feel extremely blessed. And then sitting here to get to talk on FFA podcast with you guys is so awesome for me. It's like full circle. I got an American FFA degree, got my state FFA degree, and to come back and be able to give back any way possible into this organization is a highlight of my opportunities.
So yeah, you spoke about, just right there, American degree, state degree, and things in FFA. So you come from a small town just like Caleb and I did, but tell us a little bit more about what your background is when it comes to FFA and what you did in high school and your FFA career.
Yeah, so you guys know, being a small town, like, you have so many extracurricular activities you can do. You have show choir, you have, you could be in sports, you can be in 4-H, FFA. I kind of did it all, student council, president, all that stuff, small town, because you have those opportunities to do that. You don't have to be focused on one thing. FFA, now looking back on it, I wasn't as active in it as I wanted to be, because I was so active in everything else. I remember my old FFA teacher, Mr. Cleaver. He's great. He's still there today, and his daughter now runs one of the biggest. She's one of my classmates now. She's an ag teacher in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Home of the Aggies, and she's doing great. That I grew up in a class that had a lot of very strong FFA members, and he always saw us as like a power team. And I always was like one foot in, one foot out in the organization, because I was like sports, student council, show choir, and I was baseball player, so travel ball stuff in the summer. And it was hard for me to fully commit, but I did judging. I did, I showed pigs since 4th grade until I graduated. My dad and some of my friends' parents, they started their own pig business for raising show pigs. And so Rough Creek Show Pigs, I'll give it a little plug. Rough Creek Show Pigs, they just now are winding down their operation there, but for a long time that was another little part of my my portfolio, was having my own business through that Rough Creek Show Pigs. And then I remember in 8th grade I was in parliamentary procedures, or the one before that, opening ceremonies, and I was the president, and I choked at an event. And this is where I loved FFA, because it gave my public speaking. I got to practice that, and that's one of my better skills today, is being able to speak to people. Networking, as you know, going to all these different events. We had, what's the MFE? I'm trying to think of every year we'd have is it MFE or
MFE ALD?
MFE. Yeah, yep. And we had that every year. So you get to network with kids from other towns, and all these skills you learn in FFA are great skills for life. And not until you get older do you appreciate that. being in my later 20s now, I appreciate that organization even much more because all the skills and stuff that doing all these different, at the time you're thinking like, what's skeet shooting? What's all this stuff? What's it going to do for me? But all those opportunities and all those things I did in the organization allowed me selling blue and gold sausage, taught me how to like what people like when I'm selling my apparel. So it's a very interesting way how it all kind of correlates. And that's kind of like how my involvement in it now correlates today still.
That's cool.
With everything I'm doing.
Man, that intrigues me that you had MFE ALD, because that's something that we've had here in Colorado in the past too. I don't even know for how many years. How long did Rhett say,
I want to
Tyson?
say it's been around
16?
for 15, 16 years. Yeah, it's still run by the same guys, Rhett Laubeck and Kelly Barnes. They're actually
Kelly Barnes. I know
Yep.
Kelly. Yeah,
that was going to be my next question. I wondered because they're from down in there. They're Okies.
Yeah, Tulsa area, I believe, is where they're from originally.
Oh, so
yeah.
Small world. That's pretty cool. Man, that is interesting. So then you were pretty. You said you were involved, but maybe not as much as you wanted to be, because it was a small town. Always involved in everything. That's just what we do.
Yeah.
So I guess I want to just know more about maybe baseball, because I don't know anything about baseball, and I'm curious as to what that looked like for you.
Oh, baseball was my first. I mean, from the time I was born until the time, I went to junior college to try to play baseball at Redlands Community College in El Reno, and I got hurt. Right. I mean, I think I hurt my arm that summer going in, and I got hurt within the first couple weeks of playing there. Tommy John injury, and then I just kind of like stepped back. It's kind of one of those things, like, you realize, like, man, like, this is an injury. Like, if I could come back from this, and I just kind of like stepped back. I'm like, is this what I really want to do the rest of my life? But before that, yeah, baseball was my everything. So even if we had an FFA event, and there was a baseball game every day. I was never not going to choose anything over baseball.
Right.
So like my background in that is my mom is from a small town in Oklahoma called Binger, and it's famous for being home of Johnny Bench, which is one of the greatest catchers of all time. And she grew up in that involvement. They played baseball year round. My family's from there. My uncles all got drafted in Major League Draft. So I was just ingrained to play baseball from the get-go. And my town, we weren't known for baseball, but my group, I don't know what it was. I don't know if maybe my love for it made other people love it. And then we had a lot of talented guys. We made our program pretty good for the years I was there. I still love baseball today. And yeah, I would say it's pretty good. I wasn't, it was not bad. I was like Western Oklahoma baseball coach station all-star, played with a lot of guys who got drafted in the draft. One of my best friends who today is still one of my best friends I grew up with, like, he was a stud catcher. I just was around it, and there's a lot of good, like, what I loved about FFA is, like, when you go to the state convention or any of these MFE, ALD, things like that, these guys you play against in the summer and during school ball are also in FFA because it's a small town. Everyone plays. So it was another time for, not being on the field to get to see these guys outside of that and showing pigs and things like that. So, what I love about baseball, the competitiveness, that applies to life too. Like, no matter what sport you play, you can always apply it to life, and being competitive in sports was huge for me now because I apply it to when, I want to be successful in making a video or, those little things. Having a chip on your shoulder is huge to have and carry those principles and, having those attributes to yourself, because that's the same way I was with showing pigs. Like, if in showmanship, I would always try to win showmanship. If I didn't win it, like, I took it personally. Like, I cared about all that stuff. So that's a little bit kind of tells you a little bit more about my psyche too. I'm a very competitive guy, and sports was huge for that. FFA, with the competitions in it, there's just, if I can somehow compete, I love it. So that's a little bit of the background with baseball too. I wish I could have went further with it, but to me, I always say, I learned this from a good podcast guy. His name's Ed Milet. He says, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. So, like, getting injured, all that stuff, happened for me to get to where I'm at today.
Yep.
10 years later, it's easy to see that now, but 10 years ago, not as easy.
I want to know this though, and won't judge you for it unless you say the Red Sox, but favorite MLB team?
St. Louis Cardinals. Easy for me. Everyone in Oklahoma, huge Rangers fans or Cubs or Yankees fans. I don't know why. Or sometimes Royals. But when I was a little kid, I went to a Cardinals game, 2003. Scott Rowland, third baseman. Albert Pujols actually played against my uncle in college. So I had this big tie. Like, I loved that whole team. And they were really good during the time in the early 2000s. And, they're still a pretty good team today. But that's my go-to team. I'm not a Rockies fan. I'm sure. Are you guys Rockies fans? Is that?
Yeah. And you guys over there in St. Louis just took our favorite player of pretty much this last decade.
I was pretty excited when I saw that. Yeah, Arenado's.
Yeah.
Stud. I can't believe you guys got rid of him.
Dumbest decision the Rockies have maybe ever made. Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah. I don't know. Getting rid of Tulowitzki wasn't very smart. I mean, he ended up being hurt all the time too. So.
Yeah. I mean, Nolan, though, he was a lot better than Tulo by the end of the whole thing, just because, Tulo, he got injured most of the time when he's on the Blue Jays, but Nolan, he produced every single time.
Tyson,
that's one of the best.
Clue that you were such a baseball buff.
I haven't been a baseball buff for probably 2 years now, but let me just think. Back when the Rockies went back-to-back in making the playoffs, which is a very rarity in Rockies history, being a wild card and then almost winning the division against the Dodgers. It was a big baseball buff. And when what was it? Yeah, I want to say, was it wheat harvest or corn harvest? Actually, both sometimes. Depending on which harvest we're in, you can turn the radio on, just listen to the Rockies game on 8:50 a.m. And
that's awesome.
Listen to it there. And if they're in the playoffs, you'll hear it in corn harvest, but that, like I said, once again, a rarity.
Hey, what did they call it back when Matt Holliday was there? Rocktober or something like that, when you guys made the World Series? Yeah.
Oh, my. Wow. Yep, I'm learning all sorts of stuff. I did not know any of these things. I keep up with enough. I keep up with the Rockies enough to have a conversation with my grandma because she loves the Rockies, and that's about it. I don't know that I could ever keep up with it enough.
No, a lot of the players that I don't want to say grew up with, but kind of looked at as the Rockies are kind of gone now. So you don't got Gonzalez, Todd. I'm gonna butcher the name, Holtman, something like that.
Helton, Todd Helton.
Helton, and then obviously Nolan, Tulo, and then there were some others on there that were there for a short time. But the only real one now that I can really think of is Trevor Story and Ryan Reynolds, but that's about it.
Hey, Charlie Blackmon. Charlie.
Oh,
Blackmon.
yeah, Charlie.
Absolutely.
How could I forget Charlie?
The legendary beard.
Yes. Have you seen him without his beard?
No, and I don't know that I want to either, because that was my favorite thing.
When he started his career, he didn't have it.
Really?
So there's still pictures of it today.
That's my favorite part about him is that, that and his walk-on song. But,
his walk-on song is legendary.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, that's pretty cool. So I'm going to try to circle this back to kind of what my point about asking about baseball was, because I didn't realize that was going to be a rabbit trail at all. That's cool.
I'm sorry about that.
No, I like it. It's good. But I guess my point here is that, one of our main goals, especially with this podcast and, in Tyson and I's everyday life as state officers, is pulling members in that maybe aren't the members that were always, Tyson and I were the type of members that went to literally everything, were involved in every second of FFA ever. But we have to realize and pull in members that maybe have those other hobbies and are involved in baseball and football and whatever else, sports and everything, and have those other commitments. And so I think it's interesting that someone as, 10 times, I would consider 10 times more successful than myself at this point in life, didn't necessarily have to be the stereotypical perfect quote-unquote FFA member like we were, and is still doing great things for agriculture in your own way. That's pretty cool. They're special. That's
Thank
special.
you. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And that, honestly, for me, you guys have plenty of time to catch me too. I'm older than a lot of people don't. They're like, how old is Daryl? I always joke with them. Then when they go to Gatlin, they're like, okay, he looks like how come Daryl looks 30 and Gatlin looks 20? I don't know. It's just the hat. It literally is the outfit. But I'm in my later 20s, so you guys have some time to catch me. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like, this is what my family's been in for a long time. And I'm huge in my family, love my family, and I represent my family's brand. Like my Bar X stuff is there. And any way I can do to highlight this like place I've come from, the way of life that people have lived for a long time, and I can pay like homage to it somehow. To me, that's the coolest part of all this. Never thought I would be doing this, after,
Right.
Sports, college, sports radio, going into acting. But it came full circle for me. And like I said earlier, it's, you just appreciate all the stuff that you did in this organization, but this world that you grew up in, the people you grew up around, more so than ever. And I think too, going to live in a city life for a little bit definitely allowed me to step out of my element and see it all and appreciate it from an outsider's perspective, versus it's hard when you're in things to appreciate it. So I appreciate you guys, whatever, I don't even know what credit or whatever this is, but I appreciate just the appreciation for someone. I don't know if I try to highlight this life and promote good out of it. And so if I'm doing it, I'll just keep doing it as long as they let me.
Oh yeah. No, that's a good deal. Out of all of the different things that, out of all of the different things that generations coming up, Tyson and I are in that next generation really too, and right there with you. And that generation coming up on farms and everything, where we're having kind of trouble getting folks to come back to the farm, you're that exception where you're promoting and helping your roots. You're supporting that, and I think it's an important thing to do, even if it's not something where you wanted to be involved in a fully production agriculture job later on in life, and so you're still promoting that. You're still creating a way for people to understand it and educate through social media, which is just crazy. I never would have thought that social media would have been such a pivotal point in our state officer year, or in you being able to be a spokesperson for your family farm. Social media is just crazy.
Yeah. It's a nutty world, but it's also, if you know how to, my deal is like, it can be a tool too. And I think that's what I was talking to you guys before the show. It's like, I want to help get this community, this world up to par with it, because it's such a vital part of survival and promotion and, awareness. And so for me, I don't like I say, like, I see myself as like somebody who, is going to be leading the charge on this, or, like a knight in shining armor or whatever, but whatever I can do to help get this world up to it, and, utilize this tool we have. It's just like, get when the new combines come out from John Deere, when Case puts out the new sprayers, like you gotta update your equipment, and we have to update our marketing and our, the way people view this whole thing. They don't make Green Acres or Beverly Hillbillies TV shows anymore. So it's like, how can we promote this live and, provide a source of entertainment for people who kind of want that. So that's how I see it too.
Yeah. And I want to say this has been an issue in the ag community just as a whole for a long time, is that we don't know how, as an ag community, to kind of relate on social media. And I think people like yourself, Gatlin, have done a great job with it, because organizations and big name companies have a hard time doing it, but you're just some guy from a small town on a farm in Oklahoma and figured it out somehow. So maybe we can use what you did as kind of not the foundation, but maybe something we can use as maybe a stepping stone in the right direction.
I hope so. I mean, like I said, I don't know you never know if you're doing something right, but if I can be whatever I need to be to help this world, because again, I appreciate it and love it so much, and I want people to realize, like, there's people over these flyover states, people who keep missing about, certain things, and after being out in California for 5+ years, is you realize there's a whole market there that There's not stuff not made for, entertainment not for, and it was a way of life that's not supported, but it's there. So how can we get it there? So that's been my mission from the start with all this.
Right.
Yeah. I got a question. So you're on your family's farm right now, I'm assuming, but
Yeah.
how much time is spent actually like working on the family farm and working on social media, TikTok, your kind of brand? You could say?
Valid question.
What's the
Yeah,
balance there?
Well, it has changed dramatically here in the past couple of months, especially with everything, going on with this Tratter gang stuff to now. Unfortunately for me, this is my dad and my uncle's operation, and I've always just been ever since I got done playing baseball, I was their ranch hand in the summers. I've done this my whole life, but like I officially started working with them from 2013 till I moved out in 2016. I was doing this every day, and so I've now it's funny because during COVID I was like, okay, they need my help. They've expanded their operation. I came back and started working, but then I was having to go back and forth because I'm actually married. My wife's from Southern California originally, Simi Valley, home of the Ronald Reagan Library. So beautiful area, beautiful, great people there. It's a little bubble there within Southern California where you feel like you're kind of at home. So I've been going back and forth there since basically March of last year. And then with all this taking off, like what I was doing is I was helping them during the week. And then on the weekends, when things would kind of lighten up, that's when we don't do too much work. Or like when, even during the days, you guys know, in farming and ranching, there's lull points throughout the day. So
Right.
I go, okay, what TikToks are popular today? All right, let's try to jump on this and put my spin on it.
Here you go.
So now it's crazy. So I kind of play into it too, because I got my cousin involved. I got my grandma involved. I call her Granny. My cousin's my gate Bart. He's the guy who gets out and gets my gates. He's a UPS driver full time. So we only shoot on the weekends when it's me and him doing stuff. And Granny, I get her. She's in retirement phase. So Granny doesn't even like to get out of bed or roll out and do too much stuff till noon. So
right.
I'll be, helping out. But now it's like most of my time, because of what's going on with all this, this has turned into a full-time job for me. Creating content. We have, a company I partnered up with, get a part owner in. It's called the Wag Bar. It is a beef bar company.
Yep.
It's Wagyu beef. So I don't know if any of you guys are ever Wagyu beef. It's really high quality beef. It's basically a new protein bar. Besides being, if you're eating one of those pure protein bars or anything, it's just strictly beef. And I love,
Nice.
I can partner up with them and implement them in my content. But now I'm doing work outside of my content for them too. We're doing promotional stuff. We're lining this Tratter gang. I don't know, you guys probably are aware of the Tratters with
Yes,
these
sir.
other guys, Zach and Blake, and then Nick. We wanted to collab, make a video, and that turned into us getting together, and people started calling us the Tratter gang. So now we went to Yee Day down in Texas last weekend for Granger Smith's family, and I had to kick off all these other creators. And people love the Tratter gang together. So we're lining up events this summer to do like a Tratter gang tour. And thank God, I always tell my dad, thank goodness you guys aren't wheat farmers anymore, because I don't know if I'd have time to go do all this stuff.
Oh man.
Right now we're in calving season, so it's when babies are dropping, all we gotta do is make sure we're feeding and tagging. So it's not crazy busy for us, but there's, like you guys know, on farming, there's always something to do. So
Yep.
Fortunately for me, I have a great support system from my in-laws to my family, my dad from the get-go. It's not like it's cliche rancher saying, no, you have to stay here. He's always been like, go for it, chase after it. And he sees this opportunity and what I'm doing for this world, and he wants me just to keep going after it. And he's like, this farm, this ranch will always be here. So like, we'll keep it going until we can't. And that's how his mentality is anyway. He's gonna work till he dies. So so long-winded there. I basically help when I'm needed, and then when I'm not needed, I'm making content, phone calls, business deals, podcasts, opportunities like we have here.
Right.
I'm here. I'm between Oklahoma and California, basically 50-50 right now. I'm more here since January. Been in Oklahoma probably 70% of the time, making this content, and
Wow.
yeah. So it's an interesting life I'm living right now. It's
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And is that all? That's all flying back and forth too. So you're always driving up and flying.
I've flown January, February, March, and then we drove this last time because I have my own merchandise and stuff I sell.
Right.
And so we fulfill all that. We did the print-on-demand model for a while, and we changed to we fulfill our own stuff. And so turned in one of the rooms here at my family's house into a fulfillment center, and we fulfill orders throughout the days and stuff. And so we drove this last time, and then we drove down to and then I drove to Tulsa yesterday. I've been driving nonstop, it feels like, for the last week. So put about 45 hours in worth of driving, but it's all worth it. It's all worth it. It's all good, man. And just blessed. That's all I can say at the end of the day. I'm extremely blessed to be doing what I'm doing.
Oh, absolutely. Wow. That's a lot of irons in the fire. My goodness gracious. Shoot. I'm curious how you really go through and handle all of those irons in the fire, if you want to say that old saying, what does that look like? I guess, do you have to just schedule everything, or do you just live by the seat of your pants?
Oh man, that's the hardest part for me, because I'm a creative person, so creative people are kind of everywhere, but I also like having a plan. And I don't like when the plan goes too awry, but I've gotten better about, if something happens, it's okay. Just live by. One of my buddies who's in this track game named Nick Luciano, he has a good saying. He said he saw it one time. He says, live life on the edge of your seat. And like being a content creator in this whatever influencing world, I don't feel like I can even influence my grandma. So I don't like to be called an influencer, but it is whatever it is.
Right.
But you kind of you have to, if someone, I have an opportunity with get on a phone call, you kind of have to just be willing to be open for anything to happen. We schedule, wake up in the mornings. I usually already have calls every day. This beef bar company we're involved in, we have weekly scheduled calls, and we have, things that come out throughout the days or the week. We have calls just like that.
Right.
With the Stratter Gang stuff, with events planning and all this stuff. they call me the dad of the group. I'm the older one. Everyone else, they call me Daddy Daryl. As I was saying, these guys mention to me as Daryl all the time. So I kind of manage and set up stuff for the group. And that, so yeah, there's a lot of different caps I wear. And this is where I'll go back to my upbringing and being a small town kid. This is where I see the value of it. If, you have to be involved in everything, or, you're not really living out that small town experience. And so I was involved in everything. So I remember I was in piano lessons on Wednesdays. There'd be a youth group on Wednesday nights after piano lessons, and I had sports and practice. My life was like that growing up, kind of like everywhere. Live on the seat of your pants. It was an organized, mess, but it was organized. So that's kind of all that, being in FFA, being in all these different organizations, kind of just helped set me up for this model of this lifestyle in a way. But then living that, people, what I love about people in Oklahoma, people in Colorado, people throughout the Midwest and the South, is keep it simple, less is more. And so that mentality of if something goes wrong, it's okay. Right. Step back, don't panic about it. So I've had to apply that even more so to my life with everything going on. And, I take it day by day, and it probably sounds a lot more chaotic than it is, but it there's people who've got a lot bigger fish to fry than me. So I just, at the end, I always go back to, I'm blessed to be where I'm at doing all this.
Right.
With all that, I guess, like Caleb said, all those irons in the fire, is there any end in sight for what you're doing right now, or any new projects, coming up? Obviously, in the very near future, you got your Oklahoma State Convention deal coming up, but any big new things on the horizon, or things shutting down anytime soon? Yeah.
So definitely have the Oklahoma State Convention we're going to be at. I got invited by Western Equipment, which is a John Deere dealer. I think they have a location in South Colorado. They're in New Mexico, Texas, and Western Oklahoma. They've been my family's dealer for a long time. So I got invited by them to be at their booth to the convention. I'll be there for Tuesday and Wednesday, April 27th, 28th. Be there, and then from there we're setting up, I said, this Stratter Gang tour through the summer. So as of right now, The only thing we have set in stone, like we know for sure, is in June. We're kicking it off in Diller, Nebraska, at the 124th Diller Picnic, and it's a 3-day event, tractor pull, rodeo, parade, and that's actually where the distribution plant for the Wag Bar, this company we're involved in, is also there. So it's like a perfect kind of way for us to kick off our tour this summer. And then we'll probably be in Texas, Idaho will be there, and then Nashville, Tennessee will be there. And then there's other opportunities too. Like nothing, those other ones aren't set in stone yet, so I don't want to get people's hopes up. But that's happening. And then we have just a few other things as individual brands coming up too. It's really exciting. And like I said, you just have to live by the seat of your pants a little bit. Never know what's going to happen, and then just kind of go with it. So yeah, that's the biggest stuff going on. And then there's nothing really closing down. If anything, everything, it just seems like America seems to be opening up a little bit. So we're trying to open up with it and just get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Wow. My goodness, that is crazy. Wow. Shoot a mile. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around all of that doing. That takes a lot of doing. Wow. That just amazes me all over. That right there, folks, this is a prime example of an outlier on the data plot where we've got a good old country boy, good hometown country boy coming up, and it just goes to show you, for those of you members that are listening, if you think that you're not that you don't have the ability to go and pursue massive dreams and then have them come true, right here, perfect example of just working for what you get, because it sounds like you've put in the time and now you're reaping those benefits, because that's really exploding and getting big for you. Man, that's so cool.
Thanks, man.
That is really cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I guess I kind of want to take it into, because out of respect for your time, I want to we're not super crunched for time, but I want to kind of start tapering off here. I want to bring back to FFA a little bit here. I want to really delve into maybe a couple specific FFA stories and just, I don't know, I want to hear your best rendition of what you would tell any sort of FFA member who wants to go, pursue their dreams, or they've got something crazy, like they want to act and do that sort of industry just like you're doing. I want to hear what you would have to say to them, because that's really the whole point of this podcast for sure.
Yeah, for me, it's like being a small town kid. We always dream of, like, I think being a small town person in general, you don't really have. I tried to explain this to my wife before, because she's from a bigger town, private school situation versus us, like small town public schools. I feel like, because like we live in like an infinite place of like land around us. We don't have limits on, like, we don't have beyond the towns. There's the back roads. There's this kind of stuff. Like, I never felt like my whole life growing up I had limitations. You did have the people tell you, well, you can't think like that. You got to do this. You got to do that. And like, for some reason, since I was a little kid, I always like had bigger aspirations for things. So, I always thought I was gonna be a Major League Baseball player, like that. And then you kind of step back and look at it, yeah, that's a pretty big, lofty dream. And then, going into the acting stuff, like, yeah, I want to go be a movie star, or, TV or something. And people would probably go, yeah, he's crazy. For me, like, I always saw it even in FFA, like, I would see the state presidents, like you guys, I'd see those people. I'm like, those people, like, those are guys just like me. And they put themselves out there, they've worked for it, and they put themselves in situations that it's like extra exposure for you as an individual in this great organization. So I saw opportunities, and I had examples like that my whole life of, like, there, if you work for it, you can get it. It's achievable. So what I appreciate about, it's just like in farming or in ranching, like, you don't get paid, that you're not going to reap the benefits the day you plant the seed or the day the cow drops on the ground. Like, you have to feed that thing out. You have to water your land, make sure everything is good and maintain and see it over time and work for that. And then the payout comes later on.
Right.
So my mentality with it was, you had your days where, I heard no from so many people in those audition rooms, and you go in there and kill, and they go, "We love you," and you never hear back, or you had broken promises. Like I had all happen to me throughout my acting experience too, and it just wielded a mindset, and created this some sort of fortitude for me to just always keep going. And no matter what, if you have something, you have a goal you set, and you truly believe. I was talking to a friend yesterday. Self-confidence and self-belief, nothing will ever triumph that. So as long as you believe in yourself and believe what you can do and achieve, and whatever you set yourself to do, you can do it. Just never lose sight of that self-belief. And that's the one thing I truly feel. I mean, I still have a long way to go, Phil. It's like I'm still nowhere near where I want to be with all this stuff for me. But just never giving up. And I know it's cliche and hear that, but it's like, just never lose faith in yourself. And for me, like my faith in Christ helps me a lot through that too, having that relationship. I don't want to use this as like a churchy podcast or anything, but like for me, that's a huge part of my my armor is like having that belief and that faith. And then it creates more self-confidence in myself, knowing like where I'm going to be after this life's over. So, at the end of the day, like if I can give my kids one thing, I want to give them a life better than the life I had, but I want them to always never lose doubt in themselves. So that would be my, it's a little off from FFA, but I learned that through FFA too. Like the self-belief, you can get to places you want to be, whatever you want to do in life, if you just continue to believe in yourself.
I think a lot of our members, at Colorado or not, just need to hear that right now, especially with how the situation this past year has been with COVID and all that.
Preach.
Many states have been opened up, and other states not so much. And some members have been able to travel everywhere they want to. And in our state, it's been here's some and then take some away. So it just depends on what time you look at this past year. But I think a lot of members need to hear that right now. And I got two last questions. First one is there any chance we might be seeing the Tratter Gang or yourself just by yourself at National Convention come the end of October this next year?
Well, I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now, we have not been reached out to by the overall national organization, but we've had ever since, I teased, that we're going to be in Oklahoma. I'm going to be in Oklahoma. I've seen a high volume of requests for national convention. And I can't remember. I know it changed while I was in school. It was at Kentucky, it was at Louisville, but then it went to Indianapolis. Where's it at now?
It's in Indy.
Indy. Okay. So, I mean, I think by that point, hopefully with everything going on, it's fairly open. And that's what we would love to have that opportunity. I don't even know if you guys could help us get there, but we would love to do it. I would gladly go if it can work out for the gang. I would go because, again, it's to me, I love this organization, what it's about and what it stands for. And if I can help bring value to the younger audience any way possible, I'd gladly do it. So, yeah, I mean, we're nothing set in stone yet with that, but we are very open to being in Indy in October if you guys are there too.
Yeah, it's going to be funny. Somehow it's going to be that you have nothing set in stone now, and then like 2 weeks from now, the national officer team is going to be like, hey, you want to be the guest speaker at session? Got it planned.
I can tell you right now, I probably 2 months ago had the national president on here for the podcast as well. So we've got some pretty good ties. I might just send a text message over there and say, hey, nudge, nudge, elbow in the ribs here. Go talk to Gatlin here, because I know for a fact, and this is because I've talked to members, that yourself and the Tratter Gang, just folks that are in that position as you are, have made such an impact on our members this year, with it being so hard and so based virtually. Everything, it's been such an inspiration and motivation for our members that really has been just crucial for them. I know that there's a lot of like mental illness and craziness that has like numbers have skyrocketed in all of this stuff, and
Yeah.
it's really sad to know that that's happening. But I know for a fact that people such as yourself who are coming in and being inspirational and giving a little bit of a ray of sunshine in somebody's day every day when they can open up TikTok and see something funny, that right there makes a big impact and helps a lot.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And you never know who you're touching. You don't know with this stuff. It's hard. But I appreciate that. And that gave me goosebumps. And thank you guys. Like we don't, because we honestly, we were talking about this last week when we were at EE Day. We don't know, like you don't know your impact until you go out and see people, but it's been so hard to see people.
Right.
So I just appreciate that. Thank you, man. We don't know what we're doing, but like I said, if we're doing something good, that's all that matters out of all this, dude. So
yeah,
I appreciate that, man. Thank you guys.
Oh, absolutely. Tyson, did you have your second question or did you forget it?
No, he kind of answered it inside of that first question, so it's all good.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I was just making sure that I didn't completely rabbit trail off of your second question there. Oh, man. Yeah, I think that, man, we could almost make that happen for you, Mr. Didier. I think
that'd be awesome.
I know for a fact that would be a really fun time. And Tyson, do you know, I'm really bad at keeping up with this stuff. It's going to be in person? Did they announce that or no?
Okay, so right now on the website and on the national convention page, it states something along the lines of, we plan to hold the event in person. And if we are told we cannot, we will notify you as soon as possible. And last year we were notified, I want to say mid-June, mid-July, I think mid-July sounds about right, that it was going to be virtual because everything was virtual. Last year, no state convention held was an in-person state convention. So probably no more midsummer or later summer timeframe as to whether or not nationals is going to be in person. But right now they're planning for it to be in person. And I mean, things like Stock Show next year in January plan to be fully in person as well. So at this point, it's all in person.
Right. Man, I'll be excited. Well, the reason I even ask that is because I know that I qualify for my American. I don't know if you do yet, Tyson, or not, but
I did, but I applied for mine, but the deadline was April 1st for that. So
it was. That shows you how busy I've
for
been.
You would be smart to wait just because you could apply for that. What was it? Star in, I want to say, is it agribusiness with your butcher operation? Because that would be perfect.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. There you go, Gatlin. There's a little tie to Wagyu beef. So I'm actually, by trade, I'm a butcher. And so
oh, wow.
I've got a little processing facility here in McClave that I've been furnishing the last 6 months or so, 6 or 8 months. And I actually just killed my first beef under my own supervision. I've been under another guy's supervision the last 4 or 5 years in high school, but I butchered my first beef on Tuesday. So that's what I've
Congrats,
started,
man.
so
That's awesome, dude.
I appreciate
Congrats.
that. I appreciate
That's so cool, dude. It's so nice to see young guys like your age be so willing to start doing that too, because there's a high need for that for processing plants, especially where I'm from. And man, that's awesome. Congrats. And heck yeah, all about all this stuff. And I don't gotta tell you any of this. That's awesome, dude. Congrats. Because at the end of the day, man, we need more of that in this industry, in this country world. We need the younger generation to step up a little bit. And so it's cool to see that, man. So congrats on all that. And I know I can already tell you're going to be successful at it. So, yeah, man, that's awesome. That's so cool. I don't think I've ever met anyone as young as you to start one of those.
Well, I guess it's definitely going to be an undertaking. I mean, I'll be turning 20 here in 2 months, almost exactly 2 months. So I'm no spring chicken necessarily getting into it, but I don't know. What's that, Tyson?
Gatlin, you should have seen it at first, because where he's butchering right now, I went down to Caleb's, I want to say it was September timeframe, and went and saw the building that what he is using as a slaughterhouse right now, what it was in September. It's changed completely. It's clean. It has great equipment in it. And I want to say that freezer space is actually really nice. It's not like a small freezer space where you couldn't hang too much. So if you could just see the before and after, it's quite amazing.
Yeah, what I did
That's awesome.
What I did, so I'm on one of our farms here. On one of our farms, I'm a 6th generation, but 5th generation right here. And this barn that my great grandpa built, it's 112 years old. It was built the same time this house was built, 112 years. And it used to be, there was like half of it ish, maybe 2/3 of it was grain storage, and there was hay storage over top of what is the milk room. Well, the milk room is just a completely concrete, encapsulated, it's its own milk room, right? And so what I did was I took the milk room and completely cleaned it out and renovated it, turned it into my cutting room and everything, and a walk-in cooler. And then the other side, which was the grain storage, I turned that into my euthanization kind of floor, have holding pens and everything like that. And so, I don't know. I'm not here to be tooting my horn or to be talking about my processing facility.
It's awesome though.
Cool
I love to hear it. No, it's awesome. That's why, too, when I talk to people, I hate being the guy that you guys want to hear. I hate talking about myself. So this is like, if I can ever flip a podcast on itself, that's like my goal. Because,
right.
Yeah. I love learning about, because every officer comes from a different background too. It's never the same. And so like, it's funny, it's like the kids who are more from like a bigger chapter, more like city located versus, more rural area. Colorado is an awesome breakdown of geographics too. It's like you got the Rockies, you got you got the mountainous area, then you got the farm area more closer to New Mexico, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. It's such a unique state. A lot of people don't realize there's so much diversity in agribusiness there too. So I love learning it, man.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Colorado. That's actually was the original basis of this podcast. The reason that we called it Four Corner Ag was because, well, obviously there's 4 corners on Colorado. It's perfect square or whatever. But since there is such diversity of agriculture throughout the state, that was kind of our point, was come in here and get as many random backgrounds in agriculture that we can and bring them on here and show our members, at least in the state, and if not all over the country, that, hey, it doesn't matter what your background is or what you want to do, you can still come in and achieve that as long as you put your mind to it. You've got people, I'm trying to think back to, who was it? What was his name, Tyson? National Western Stock Show.
Paul Andrews. Paul
Andrews, Mr. Andrews, yes. He has a background in ranching, but now he runs, one of the biggest stock shows and just one of the biggest companies in the state, and it's pretty cool. They're expanding and everything like that. And my point with saying that is that he's a pretty big deal, pretty big CEO now, and he came from just a little ranching background.
Isn't that the Denver Stock Show that he's behind, or which stock show is that?
Yeah, that's the Denver Stock Show.
I never got to have the privilege to go to that. I was always had something conflicting with it, but my buddies would always go to it, and they love that. That was always the dad's highlight too, because the dads like to go to Golden and visit the factory. So I always would hear about the stories. I'm like, man, I wish we could make it to that stock show sometime.
We were just there yesterday in the facilities, and it's in person next year, no matter what, according to the staff there. So get your ticket now.
All right. Heck yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Oh, man.
Well, you made me think. I wanted to say, you guys, after we get off this podcast, you got to give me your addresses. I want to send you guys some WAG bars so you guys can try them out. Hey. Let me know what you think. And so I will get to get those from you guys. And then to give a small plug to the company I'm involved with.
Yep.
Tell people to go to it's on Instagram and TikTok. It's my WAG bar. But the .com, it's also mywagbar.com. And what I love, the reason I partnered up with these guys, they have one of the coolest unique stories. It's also a cattle rancher who raised American Wagyu beef.
Nice.
Him and an old fraternity brother from Oklahoma State got together and created this business. And well, the best thing about it to me is that the give back factor. They call it the beef with purpose. And you'll appreciate this too, being, a guy in this industry. Is for every box of beef bars they sell, they donate enough money to the organization Feed My Starving Children to feed a family.
Wow.
And so that's like one of the great charitable parts of it. That reason I was so attracted to the company and what it stands for, what it's about, is the beef with purpose.
Right.
And so definitely, if anybody, it's like you're supporting a product that supports the beef industry, which we all, I think we can agree, needs a lot of support right now too.
Absolutely.
But it also supports, a good cause, and you're helping out people who are in need. And then like if you buy a subscription base, you can feed 40 meals to a family in a month. So it's pretty cool, like little side note of it. I wanted to share it. I wanted to tell you guys about that. And I'm definitely going to get you guys some WAG bars. And the trick to the whole WAG bar, I tell everybody, is like you put it in the microwave for 10 seconds in the wrapper, which all the health experts will be like, that's not right. But whatever. You heat it up in there and you take it out 10 seconds later. It tastes, one of the Trader Gang guys put it perfectly. It's literally a mini steak in a wrapper. So it's awesome. That's why I love it too. So I had to plug it a little bit, but I also want to get you guys to try it, because I think, I'd love to get it involved with the FFA somehow too. But there's so much blue and gold sausage, T&D meats, you get all that stuff. So I don't want to step on any toes there, but I would love to just have you guys try these out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, and we'll be sure to plug all of those links and everything in our social medias whenever we post this. Hopefully tag you and everything like that. So don't worry about that. But yeah, that is beyond cool. My goodness.
And I should know it by heart, but the Colorado FFA Foundation, I want to say, is a part of something very similar. It's a beef stick thing. I don't know the exact name of the beef stick, but it's very similar to that. But obviously it's more Colorado-based thing. So yeah.
I think it comes from the Colorado Beef Growers Association.
Yeah, I know Mr. Thorne, the foundation director. He's involved with that. He had some part in it earlier this fall.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Beef sticks are like mildly underrated, because everyone, like, when people think of beef sticks, they go Slim Jims. You're like, no. Like that's like low quality. Yeah, we're talking about real beef, guy, 100% grass fed. All that, all that jazz. But there's a big difference in quality beef sticks versus a Slim Jim.
Right. Oh, absolutely. There's some actual sustenance there.
Yeah, exactly. Good protein source. Like after a workout, you don't feel like having you want to support the beef industry. Like, my dad only eats red meat, so it's like, Dad, what are you gonna have? I'll have a beef bar. Sounds good.
That's the way to do it, man. This is cool. Well, I guess that's kind of almost a good spot to just call it there. I mean, we're right at 57 minutes, so this is really interesting. I almost feel like we could talk forever, but out of respect for your time, we'll kind of taper off here. And I just want to say I really, really appreciate you coming on here, Gatlin. It's pretty awesome to hear a guy like you who has done as much as you have, and you've got no plans in stopping anytime soon. That's special. That's cool.
No, I think I'll die if I stop. Very similar to like a lot of how my dad thinks too. I think the day I stop, the day it's not good. So
right.
I just appreciate you guys having me on. This has been a blast. I get a little long-winded in some of my stuff, so I just appreciate y'all listening and taking the time and allowing me to promote this industry too on your guys' platform. So I appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you guys in the future too. And maybe we can get something lined up and get the Trader Gang out to National Convention. We can maybe do a live performance of Tratters and Bros for if they play their cards right.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Oh man. Well, Tyson and I'll kind of close out here, and we'll talk to you in a minute still here, Gatlin.
All right.
Tyson, you got anything else?
No, not at this point. Actually, I might have one thing. Just for any of the members listening, we got word not too long ago that we will be having our convention be in person this year.
Yes.
As to specific details right now, we don't know, but we plan to hold it as a convention tour, in a sense that we will be traveling pretty much in a 5-day period to 3 different locations. one on the western slope, one in the northeast, and one in the south. And we're not sure how it's all going to work right now. There's going to be more information coming out here very soon about how all that's taking place. But pretty much just the big announcement is conventions in person.
Yes. That's going to be, woo. That one was something that we were a little bit worried about, wasn't it, Tyson? Here, a little bit.
Oh, yeah, we were very worried about it. But it's in person now. It's not perfect, but it's in person.
It will be different, but that's something that we've kind of learned to deal with this year is something different, and I guess that's okay. I mean, even this podcast is different, something new for the members. So, you know what? We're gonna do what we can with what we have, and that's the only way we can go on and be productive, even in a year like this. I guess with that being said, I gotta plug your Spill the Tea, because I'll put this episode out today, probably, Tyson. And so I'll plug Spill the Tea this Sunday. I don't know who your guest is.
Our guest, this is going to be the last Spill the Tea. We've went through all of the past state officers besides one, and the last state officer we will be going through is Alex Wieselmeyer and Kendall Powell, who is our current state. Oh, she's the current state sentinel, I believe.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Nope. She's a reporter.
I was about to say Bailey's
Darn it.
sentinel.
I was confused that
You
one.
know how hard it is to actually keep up with who is who and everything like that? It's not easy.
Oh, I know. But yeah, last Spill the Tea this Sunday. Link is in the last Spill the Tea post we had on the Instagram, Facebook page. And yeah, just one more left. And then afterwards, we're probably going to do something similar, just without the whole Spill the Tea aspect, where we can still have connections with members that we kind of had built a bond or relationship with over this past year. So yeah, just come out, have a good time, and join us on that Zoom call.
Heck yeah, it's going to be cool. Continue to stay involved on social media and keep up with us, because we're always fast moving. We are working on, we're probably, 6 days away from announcing the theme this year. And this year's theme is, drumroll please, just kidding, you're not going to get to hear it on here. You'll find out here in 6 days on our social media. I'm pretty excited for that too. So keep up with us, and we'll see you guys. Or, I guess I won't see you. I won't see any of you, because this is an audio recording. I will talk to you guys in the next episode.